government's authorities under the law and violates the 10th Amendment.
I, in partnership with Governor Gavin Newsom, are suing President Trump and asking the court to set aside the president's unlawful action federalizing the California National Guard. With this order, Trump and Hegseth ignored law enforcement's expertise and guidance and trampled over our state's, California's, sovereignty.
Now, a president ordering the National Guard under federal command over objections from a state's governor is historically rare. And Governor Newsom said in a recent interview he did have a heads up about the National Guard being deployed.
I got a call from a staffer, no heads up whatsoever. And again, we're here to support local law enforcement. There's a mutual aid process. Local law enforcement had no needs.
In Los Angeles, the city's police chief called what he has seen on the streets, quote-unquote, disgusting. Tensions boiled over the weekend when protesters angry over ongoing ICE raids clashed with law enforcement. NBC's Jay Gray is joining us now from Los Angeles with the latest on what's been going on since last night and how things look right now. Jay?
Yeah, and Mike, let's get to that scene right now. You may hear the hum of the police chopper overhead just surveying the situation here. This downtown area is still locked down in many places, and as you can see, there is a police line as well as the National Guard here locking down this area around the federal complex in downtown Los Angeles, and they intend to be here for as long as necessary. They started to try and clean up some of the mess after a weekend of violence. The street sweepers stirring up the heavy smell of pepper spray, and that, of course, in the air, along with high tension on both sides of this security line at this point. The downtown area has been declared an area that's unlawful to assemble in, but we have seen over the last hour or so a handful of people with homemade signs, with flags, many with their faces covered, gathering on street corners here in the downtown area, and both sides in all of this preparing for what could be like another day of protest, another day violence. Many concerned that we may see a replay of what we've seen over the last several days. We know that dozens have been detained by ICE. Their families spoke for the first time today, and they say that most of those detained are simply hardworking laborers who've been caught up in this citywide sweep, and they are demanding aid. Be allowed access to attorneys or lawyers. The family members say they haven't been allowed to speak with any counsel, but they also haven't been able to speak with their families, and so they are calling for the immediate release of those who are being detained. Of course, the White House, Homeland Security says that's not going to be the case, and they say that this process is going to continue for, and I'm quoting here, at least several more days.
And Jay, you are experienced, you've been here before. The sense that you get, is this a situation where the demonstrators are mobile and going to different areas, or is there essentially a line of engagement in the area where you are, where protesters or demonstrators are coming and where law enforcement is stationed?
It's a great question, Mike. I think we're seeing a little bit of both. We're seeing different pockets of protest across this area, and they seem to all kind of converge a bit later in the day here in the downtown area, and that's where you have some of these lines between law enforcement and protesters get a bit tense and a bit violent. Now, I think we should stress a majority of the thousands who have filled the streets here have peacefully protested here, carrying their signs, demanding what they say is justice for those who have been arrested by
oh my
agents.
God.
But there are pockets of problems, and those have led to cars being burned, buildings having their windows shattered, and other debris scattered across the streets. We know that an electric scooter was thrown from an overpass onto a police vehicle yesterday, and so incidents like that definitely occurring, and we've seen them play out. We know at this point also, Mike, at least 9 LA officers have been injured during all of this.
Jay, I really appreciate your perspective and your insight, and stay safe out there as we continue to follow this situation. Jay,
thanks,
Gray in Los Angeles. Meanwhile, Pasadena's Mayor Victor Gordo also speaking about the situation down there. Listen to what he had to say.
As an immigrant, I'm appalled
I'm appalled that a community that just gone through the worst of times with a fire is now targeted and bullied. It's un-American, it's immoral, it's wrong.
Now, during that interview, Mayor Gordo confirmed the presence of federal agents in the city of Pasadena, but added they were not there for enforcement purposes. He then vowed to protect immigrant communities from family separations. Sacramento Mayor Kevin McCarty also weighing in, calling in the federal government's actions in Los Angeles harmful and purposefully inflammatory. He added that Sacramento has a long history of standing with immigrants and will continue to do so in this moment and those that follow. Today, Mayor McCarty joined us to explain his message to the community and spoke on the protests against ICE.
We're just trying to tell people that, one, the big picture, that our police department, our local law enforcement, they're not immigration. Immigration acts as themselves. And but also, two, I know people are concerned, community's concerned. We want to reiterate what we do here in Sacramento, but also if people do protest, we want to make sure that they're out there doing it the right way and not becoming violent or creating problems.
And we are also hearing from state leaders in support of President Trump's action to deploy 2,000 National Guardsmen. Rockland Republican Congressman Kevin Kiley called out Governor Gavin Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass for their pushback.
It's unfortunate that the likes of Governor Newsom and Mayor Bass have engaged in inflammatory rhetoric that has actually, in many ways, put people at risk. And it's unfortunate that the governor hasn't taken the steps that are needed to restore order and protect public safety.
We also reached out to Elk Grove Congressman Ami Bera. He sent us this statement saying, quote, President Trump's decision to deploy the National Guard in Los Angeles without Governor Newsom's consent is a dangerous escalation. This is not about restoring order. It is about the administration seeking to inflame tensions and provoke violence from protesters to justify further crackdowns. Now, the last time the National Guard was federalized in Los Angeles was in 1992 during the Rodney King riots. In the next half hour, we're going to show you the key locations of ICE enforcement clashes. But now we want to switch gears and get to KCR Rain 3 weather and